In Fairfield County, something new comes across my desk every day. Crimes are committed, cases are solved, and a community is made safe by the hardworking employees of the Fairfield County Sheriff's Office.
Welcome to This Week with Sheriff Dave Phelan, a weekly program on LancasterOhio.tv. We're also carried by a number of radio affiliates. The program is produced at Fairfield Christian Academy. Do appreciate the students and their help every week to get this program on the air. Our executive producer, Kelly Roberts, behind the scenes, gets the guests together and a lot of the questions and does a terrific job getting this program on the air. Back by popular demand, second week in a row, Ted Duffus. Good to see you, Ted.
Good to be back, sir.
Dispatcher and veteran dispatcher. We covered a lot of ground last week.
Yes, we did.
But we didn't quite get everything in, so I'm glad you were able to make it back with us and talk a little bit about our dispatch. So how many dispatchers do we have in
We have
county?
15 dispatchers.
15 dispatchers. And typically how many dispatchers will we have on each shift?
Three.
3 dispatchers. And sometimes that's probably plenty, and sometimes it may not be quite enough, huh?
Oh, exactly. There's a lot of times when we'd like to see we have 5 different dispatch positions. We'd like to have them all filled.
Yeah. And speaking of all filled, we have room to put up new ones in because we have, with the opening of our new building a number of months ago, we have a new dispatch center.
Oh, yeah. It's like being in heaven.
I bet you have windows. The other place just have.
Yeah.
So tell us, what are some of the differences between the old center and the new center and some of the things we're able to do?
Well, first of all, I would have to say the size. The size of the rooms is just unbelievable. Our room that we have now is all self-contained. Once we get in there, we shouldn't have to walk out.
So you've got restrooms,
We have
food,
restrooms,
everything you need,
the
huh?
break room, the whole 9 yards. We even have a drive-through windows for the deputy to drive through and pick up his paperwork.
Okay.
Nobody has to come inside to pick up the paperwork.
And we try to keep that a secure area, don't we?
Yeah, oh, yeah. It's very secure. It's for somebody to come in and look at it. It would kind of I would imagine it would blow their minds because every position has at least 5 computer terminals, 5 computer screens.
Right.
That we have. We have the maps, the CAD system, everything that we have to basically look for. And we have our anti-alley system when the 911 phone rings, like we discussed last week, it'll show the phone number, the address, and everything. So at one glance, we can see where that call's coming from. There's no comparison to the new over the old.
And one of the things that I thought was pretty neat is the ability for the tables to go up and down.
Yeah.
So you can actually dispatch and standing up, so you don't have to sit in a
You don't
setting
have to
position.
sit for 8 hours or 12
Right.
hours if you're on overtime or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, you can take it up and down, whatever you want to do,
Wow.
which is nice.
Now, when people call in our CAD system, it's a system that we have a log of calls that have come into that address, and also
Yeah.
it will flag if we have had problems with guns or whatever,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. We can enter those right from our dispatch positions. I can run a report off, I can do a call history off an address back to 2015.
Okay.
You know, and it gives the investigator an idea of what was there prior to this call.
Right.
And I'm also responsible for making all the tapes and everything for the prosecutor's office.
Right.
So,
Well, what a change. I remember when I first started, I was with the Columbus Police Department. This goes back well over 40 years. But back then, they had a 3x5 cards. Is the way they logged the calls and everything, and they'd have a conveyor belt, and the people dispatch would be in the back of the room, and the people who took the calls would be in the front. And they had a line that would take it down the. So you put the 3x5 card on the thing, and a belt would move it down. The dispatcher would take it and call it. So quite a change over the years.
There's still a couple sheriff's offices in the state that still put pen to paper.
Really?
no, don't use computers at all.
Is that right?
Yeah, they still put pen to paper to actually, and the typewriter to type their.
So when you started, and you mentioned last week you started for was it Pennsylvania State Patrol?
Yeah, Pennsylvania State Police.
Was it computerized at that time, or were you still?
It was just starting to be computerized.
Okay.
Just starting to be computerized. They didn't have any of the mobile data terminals.
Okay.
They didn't have none of that. But we still did a lot of pen to paper.
Yeah. Well, what's the most challenging part about being a dispatcher?
Is the stress.
Stressful. Huh?
That's the big challenge. And a lot of people.
It's not for everybody, is it?
No, a lot of people don't realize when they get hired, what they're getting into. You know, we've had some people that actually broke down and cried on the phone, which is human nature, you know.
Right.
But as a dispatcher, these people are calling you to call for help.
Right.
And you have to be the reassuring, calm, reassuring voice on the other end of the phone.
Yeah. And a few years ago, we even went to what they call like medical dispatching. So tell us about that.
Okay, it's called EMD, Emergency Medical Dispatch, which is it's all in our CAD system for any type of medical emergency, any type of fire, or whatever type of, even police-related incidents.
Okay.
And their armed robberies, thefts, what our protocol is, what questions we should ask. We're actually qualified in there now where I can talk a person through CPR on the phone.
Amazing.
And I've done that and saved a couple lives.
Wow.
You know, and
Or years ago, that wouldn't be the case.
no, it'd be like, okay, we'll get somebody there and hope the fire department could get a crew for their medic unit to go.
So as an example, if someone had just been pulled out of a swimming pool or a pond or something,
Mhm.
and they've been underwater for a period of time, it'll tell you exactly what to tell them.
Exactly.
Wow.
I'll tell them how to proper hand placement to check for a pulse, where to place their hands to start chest compressions.
Wow. Is there any particular, I mean, you've handled thousands of runs. Is there any one or two that kind of come to mind, whether it was a tragedy or some kind of special outcome or something that kind of sticks in your mind?
Well, I've had two like that, and they were both suicides. One, my attempt with the elderly male was not successful. He took his own life talking to me on the phone.
Oh, wow.
I was on the phone with him for a good 45 minutes, pleading with him. But the other one was another suicide where the guy had a weapon, and he kept doing it and kept doing it. And I actually asked him to pray with me. And when it was all done, we were laughing like we were old friends, and he asked me if I was going to be there when the medic units come to help him. You know, so
Really?
it's rewarding.
Right.
It's rewarding. There are the bad calls, but in the long run, I wouldn't give this job up for the world.
Yeah. Is there any one type of call that you seem to get more of than the other calls? It's kind of a disproportionate number of a certain type of call.
Well, we get a lot of criminal damaging calls.
Okay, my mailbox been broken.
Mailbox, somebody spray painted my house.
Yeah.
They broke the window of my car, but they didn't take nothing.
Yes.
You know, so we got those and a lot of larcenies.
Right.
You know, the major type incidents, not so much. We do occasionally get the big hot call.
And I noticed the other thing, you get alarm, we could call them alarm drops, so that's
Yeah.
when a burglar alarm goes off in a business. And when there's a bad storm, a lot of them go off, right?
Oh yeah, we just put the seatbelt on when the storm comes in because you know the phone's going to be nonstop
Yeah.
and it's going to all be alarmed.
So now, for our viewers and listeners, you do prioritize certain calls, right?
Yes.
And then there's other calls that kind of go on the back burner as you get calls available.
Exactly.
What would be a call that we would dispatch immediately, and what would be some calls where we'd say, hey, it may take a couple hours to get out, we're busy, or we're not going to be able to respond right away?
As like we were just talking, alarm drops. They're a top priority call.
Okay.
We don't know in there whether the business or the residence is getting broken into. So that's a top priority call.
Well, and just so I don't lose track of my thought, what percentage of the alarm calls are good and which are bad?
Well, you know, they're I'm going to say 80% are bad.
Okay, so it's,
There are malfunctions, there
They
are
didn't-
accidental alarm trips.
right, okay.
Occasionally, we get the good burglary.
Right.
Occasionally,
Yeah,
so, I'm gonna say the alarm drops, the domestics, an assault,
right,
naturally your homicides.
shooting,
Stuff like that, and shootings. If we get a shooting complaint, that's a lower priority, but not one that we would sit on.
right,
It's a lower priority. That would wait till the next available car. Now, like your lockouts, your investigative complaints, which are like parking complaints, barking dogs and stuff, they would take a low priority. Those are one of those that we'll get to them if we can, if we get a unit available.
wow. I know we just have a couple of minutes left, but let's talk a little bit about something that's kind of near and dear to your heart, and it's something that you and your wife have been involved with since 2006, and it's called the Tender Loving Bears. So what is that, and what do you do as part of that?
Well, the Tender Loving Bears is in memory of my wife's daughter-in-law,
Okay.
Michelle. She was a teddy bear lover. Michelle was a severe diabetic. She was in the hospital in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, and she passed away. Well, since her love of teddy bears, we talked to my wife's, Kathy's son, which would have been the husband, that we wanted to do something in her memory. So we got the ministry and the foundation of Tender Loving Bears, which every year on Valentine's Day, which is her birthday, we visit hospitals and donate bears to the emergency rooms to give to children who come in who are scared and are paranoid about the hospital. They always like something to hold on to. So we give them the bear. This year, last year actually, our ministry has moved to Temecula, California also.
Oh my gosh.
We do a hospital in California. Unfortunately, we don't get to go, but
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're maybe looking at another hospital in this area too. So far we're in Pittsburgh, California, and here.
Wow.
At the ministry.
If someone wants to donate to that, is there a way they can do that?
Yeah, we have there's a website. It's called TLBears. It's BEARZ.com, and there's instructions in there how to donate, monetary or bears.
Okay, and you've been doing this now for since 2006.
Yeah, about 12
Wow.
years.
How many bears have you given out over those years?
Hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds.
Wow.
We furnished, this year I just furnished the Detective Bureau in the office 15.
Right, because they go out on these
Yeah.
tragedies and
Yeah.
things like that.
And our bears grew up. They're no longer the little puppies. They're the big ones.
Nice, nice.
So in time things get better, and it's still growing.
Great. Ted Duffus, our dispatcher, and appreciate all you do. I really do. And those were certainly some moving stories about those calls you had in relation to suicides. So. Well, we're just about out of time, and we're going to have you back. We're not going to make it 4 years next time.
Okay.
The clock on the wall says we're about out of time. I appreciate Fairfield Christian Academy that lets us use their facilities to put this together. Behind the scenes, executive producer Kelly Roberts, and certainly I'm appreciative of the viewers and listeners that join us each and every week. So until next week, if you're driving, buckle up, God bless, and we'll see you right here next week.